Recording started.
Hello, everyone. I'm Arv Adams from the User Experience Division in CIO, and we've created, with our help of Brian Matthews, this USPTO design guide to dictate the design styles and design patterns we'll use when developing future applications and future websites. We've been working closely with OCCO on the style guide as well to make sure that we adhere to any enterprise branding that is coming down the pike. And Brian, I'll hand it over to you. If you have any questions, Brian may address them in his presentation, or feel free to put them in the chat, and I will moderate them and hand them over to Brian after his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arva. So my name is Brian Matthews. I'm a UI designer and developer working with the USPTO UX department on this USPTO design guide, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So as Arva mentioned, if you have any questions, think of them throughout this demo, and then at the end we'll be able to answer them when you post them in the WebEx chat. So there's 4 things I want to talk about. What is the design guide? Why is it important for us? Who is it for? And our plans for the future. So first, I'll talk about what is that. It's a set of design and interaction guidelines for USPTO websites and applications. Before we get into the details, though, I'd actually like to talk about why we even care about this or why this is important. So it's not hard to imagine, even over just the past year or two, how many button styles have been created between all these different projects we have. How much time was spent determining the perfect color, the perfect border radius, whether or not to add a drop shadow. If we laid out all the button designs on one screen, it probably wouldn't look too far off from this. This problem extends to every single component and every single application we have. Sliders, drop-down menus, load spinners, progress bars. Not only does it cost a lot of money to redesign and re-implement these components for every single application, but it makes it harder for our users to use these applications. People are more productive when software is consistent and better designed. That consistency isn't just a designer problem. Everyone needs to worry about these things. Are all of our interactions predictable? Are we not only meeting 508 compliance, but meeting it in a consistent way? Are we being consistent in how we represent the USPTO brand? We're always going to be short on time and designers, so we need a better way to scale our design solutions. We want to enable our designers, our product managers, and our developers to be more productive. And we want to allow you to focus on the bigger, unique problems that your projects have. So back to what is the design guide? It's a website. It's open source and hosted on GitHub. It contains information on what it is, how to use it, where to download resources, a change log, and most importantly, the design guide. So far, we have over 40 different components and patterns, things like tooltips, how they should behave, how they should look, when they should be used. We've made a lot of great progress over just the past few months, and we're going to keep adding more and more common design elements. We put a lot of effort into making sure that these designs are flexible and scale from web pages to simple applications to complex gadget frameworks. A lot of characteristics can differ between these various environments, like the white space or the density of data, but overall, we're pushing for consistency. The primary UI colors we're using align directly with the USPTO brand palette. This ensures that our customers and our users always recognize where they are, which is really important. In the design guide, all of the examples are live HTML and CSS built using Bootstrap. So if your project is using Bootstrap, which a lot of our projects do, you can easily view the code snippets used in the examples, which can be really helpful. Even if you're not using Bootstrap, things like less variables, icon fonts, or sprite sheets can still be very beneficial. One of the best things about this project is that it's open source. Every developer and designer will have easy access to it. Currently, the GitHub repository is private, but very soon we'll be opening that up to the public. The reason it's open source is to promote collaboration amongst all the different projects and the various contractors that we have. We want people to contribute anything as much as possible, whether it's ideas, improvements, or bug fixes, or even just asking questions publicly through GitHub. It doesn't matter if you're using Dojo, Angular, React, Ember, Bootstrap, or any other framework, but if you've developed a modular theme or component that follows these design guides, we want you to contribute that so that everyone else can benefit. We hope to soon add mechanisms in the design guides for switching the examples to different frameworks. Most importantly, we want to work together with everyone, making this the best that it can be. Design is a creative process. We want our guides to be flexible, to provide a foundation to help boost your productivity and to ensure that we deliver consistently good experiences. So who is this targeting? Everyone should be concerned with the consistency of our applications and how we can best serve our users and our customers, whether it's an internal application or external. So we think this guide benefits everyone. So I want to talk a little bit about the road ahead, our plans, and some of our expectations. And Arva is going to elaborate on some of this as well. So all of our future projects, So all of our future projects will follow these guidelines. There are a lot of factors that go into when, how, and if you will need to implement these guidelines in your existing project. Factors like the size, the current progress, the funding available, and the release schedule. So you'll be working with your UX department lead to coordinate any of those efforts and to figure out what the best strategy is. We've been gathering a lot of input from designers and developers, and projects have begun testing implementation of these design guides. We're opening this up as release candidate 1, which means we want to get your feedback and make improvements. Once we're ready, we'll release an official version 1. As the guide evolves, it will follow semantic versioning as closely as possible. This, in addition to detailed change logs, will ensure that you can keep track of what's changed, when it was changed, and how it may or may not affect your project. This is an evolving project and guide, but with your contributions, everyone can benefit. Did you want to elaborate any more on the expectations, Sarva?
Yeah, the expectations are pretty much this is easiest to implement. If your project is currently using Bootstrap or a more simple framework with just HTML, CSS, then any new projects can be expected to begin using the style guide once it's approved by John Owens, who is the OCIO here. For those who don't know, immediately there'll be other projects that are already underway that may have a future timeline for implementing the design style guide. OCIO will be reviewing the projects on a case-by-case basis, because we have to have a cost-effective way of implementing this. So it won't be that everybody, all projects across the board need to immediately implement the style guide right away. If anybody has any questions, if you could please put it in the chat. You see your chat room there. If you don't see it, at the top of WebEx, you'll see a pull-down menu that if you move your mouse to the top of your screen, a pull-down menu comes down, and then there's a chat icon there. And I've got a question from Laura. Is there a listing of the UI contacts for the business unit? And I believe, Laura, that it depends on the project, really. So you could start with contact UXD at USPTO.gov, and then we can find you the people that you need to talk to for the various projects. Dallas Burling says, I have a project with GU request starting in March. Is this the style guide to use, or do we need to wait until John Owens approves it? 2 of our projects have already begun using the framework as a loose style guide. John Owens is expected to get it in his office the week after next for version 1. And as Brian said, we're going to be versioning micro versions beyond that, 1.1, 1.2, and then larger versions, 2.0, 3.0, et cetera. So it will be evolving to meet our needs and to meet any issues that we encounter. If the front office likes it, then I anticipate you can begin using it right away. It's public now. Yeah, of course, everything could change, but I doubt it. I think the projects that have begun using it, like GPSN and assignment search, are on the right track. And we'll have anybody using it now will have minimal changes for the future. Mark Brightwell is asking about 508 compliance. Mark Royman over in the 508 office has reviewed this. He's found a few issues, not too complex, and we're working on those, and we'll make sure that they're implemented before the library is finalized into version 1.0. Version 1.0 will hopefully also include some enhancements based on your comments. In your invitation to this event, there is a feedback link in the invitation. If you could use that link to provide feedback, or feel free to email contactuxd@uspto.gov with any comments. Then Alan asked if the style guide will take precedence over beta.uspto.gov. The plan for the next steps is that Jeff Isaacs and I have been looking at is doing a gap analysis between, we're going to have 3 guidelines now: the design pattern library, which is the USPTO design guide, the beta style guide, and then an enterprise style guide. So we need to get those all together into one interface, and CCO is in agreement that we should make that interface this GitHub interface, so we have a one-stop shop for everything that you need. We recognize that there's a lot of, there's a few gaps, so quite a few gaps in between beta.uspto.gov and this style guide, and we'll work on that in fiscal year 15, which is going on now, enhancement project for that next generation of USPTO.gov. To answer your question also, Alan, yes, the AISs are using the USPTO design guide, this one, for beta, but we can talk more offline about how to implement that for my USPTO, and then also, of course, we need to wait till we have the official John Owens, John Hancock on the bottom line. Steve asked if he noticed that it didn't mention pneumatics. Is that framework still considered important by OCIO, or is it being depreciated? It depends.
I can answer that.
That was Steve Aguila over in Trademark.
So I think, so this guideline isn't trying to impose any restrictions on the framework that you use. A lot of times frameworks evolve very rapidly, and we certainly don't want to restrict what developers can use if they think that's going to be more productive for them. So the primary purpose of this is the design and the aesthetics of things, in addition to the behaviors and interactions and usability. The additional bonus to this is that it is implemented, all the examples are implemented using a Bootstrap theme. So which doesn't include anything like JavaScript in terms of how those controls are actually implemented, just the CSS and HTML of them. A lot of frameworks can output any HTML. The frameworks don't necessarily impose restrictions on HTML. So things like Angular, for instance, work very well with Bootstrap. Things like Dojo don't work with Bootstrap. So people using Dojo will have to create a custom Dojo theme that matches these design guidelines. They won't be able to use the CSS directly that's provided by these design guidelines. But once they do create a Dojo theme that meets these guidelines, they can contribute that back to the guidelines, and then we'll host that on here.
Thank you. I've got another question. Do you anticipate any changes to UXCPREU through estimates already submitted for project support due to changes? The estimates are already submitted and the project's underway. No, but what we'd like to do for future projects is include this in the list of requirements. So we'll need to look at all projects on a case-by-case basis. Talk to the developers. If your framework and your project can have changes that fit the new design guide in once John Owens has signed off on it, then good. If it's something that's not cost effective for the USPTO, we'll come up with a contingency plan to get it there as soon as possible without creating too much rework. Chuck is asking what about the legacy web apps that will have enhancement projects. Are we expected to design the enhancements according to this library? Does existing functionality not being touched have to be converted to the new look? We're going to have to look at each project again, case by case. We need to talk to the business owners. Which ones are feasible to fund in which fiscal year to get everybody on board? Even with USPTO.gov, a lot of the AISs won't have the new header and footer, as an example, until later down the road when they are phased for a new release. So we'll have to use that approach for this design pattern library too, or else it will be too expensive for the PTO. However, we just want to start getting the upcoming projects and any projects that can easily follow along for now, starting to use this USPTO design guide, which is based on Bootstrap CSS HTML. Lynn's asking if there's a distinction between the internal and external AISs, and the answer is no on that. We've already started using this for 2 external AISs, loosely, because it wasn't quite ready yet when they kicked off. It only had a few of the patterns that you see here today. But we'd like to have a consistency across both internal and external when possible. The difference is a lot of our internal applications, as you know, are desktop applications. They're a little more complex. They'll have different patterns versus web-based applications in the public that are a little less complex, need to be more mobile friendly, et cetera. So there are differences, but we're hoping to include those differences in this style guide in upcoming versions. Brian, this one's for you. Alan's asking where a themed Bootstrap CSS is.
Sure. So if you click on download here, you can download a zip file that contains all the source less files, which is the ideal way to kind of consume the Bootstrap theme. Otherwise, you can use a minified CSS file that has everything kind of bundled together. But ideally, you can also get access to the GitHub repository and download any of the assets you need from there. If you have any questions on how to use any of the assets, like less files or icons, you can post a question on GitHub, through all the social features that it provides. And then we can also improve the documentation as necessary, if you think that's helpful.
Anybody else that have any questions? We've got still another 10 minutes. If you'd like to see anything demonstrated a little more in depth, you'd like.
Yeah, I can walk through a couple of the patterns. So we have all kinds of different things. So there's basic things like the buttons, different colors that you might use, when you might use those colors, whether or not it's a split button or just a normal drop down, the use cases for those different things. Forms is a really complex one. So some of these patterns are more difficult than others, and some of them are easier to implement than others. How to handle things like required fields, how to do form validation, other things like popovers and the behaviors of those, when to use them, when not to use them. The color guidelines, if you're using the less files, what those variables are, in addition to just the plain hex colors. There's the full brand color palette here, if that's useful for you. The tables, things like that, which covers, so like if it's an external website, you probably want a table that breathes a little more, with more white space, but if you have a really complex web application with lots of data, we've considered styles that are useful for those kinds of situations. But this whole guideline is publicly available right now, so anyone can go view all the guides and leave feedback.
I have a question from Thomas. Does this guideline provide mobile-first responsive design? Brian?
Yeah, so since it's built using Bootstrap, it does kind of provide that in all the examples. The guidelines don't go into a whole lot about responsive behavior. A lot of the components so far are relatively simple things. So for more complex patterns, responsive behavior will be added to those. And a lot of our applications don't consider mobile for like complex desktop applications and things like that. So that hasn't been one of our main priorities, but certainly all of the CSS and things like that have been implemented to be responsive so far.
And Laura, I think I've answered your question already. This is for internal and external applications. And as we mentioned, that we do notice that there's some style differences in the beta.uspto.gov style guide, and CCO and UXD are working together to gap those differences, or bridge the gap, sorry. We don't want to gap them anymore. Does that answer your question, Laura? Kristen's asking if a question about fonts. Brian, do you want to navigate to the, oh, you are on the typography page. We realize that there's different apps using different, especially internally, different desktop fonts, and we're still deliberating on the font issue. We've got with CCO on what there's going to be brand fonts. We have currently used To Go, which is a Microsoft desktop font that is very flexible, since it has 4 different weights, which is unusual for Microsoft desktop fonts. And we're looking at using that one. If you have any ideas for good desktop fonts, we're having some technical issues with some of our customers when using web fonts. So a little more work needs to go into the font question. And then she's also asking when to switch over. That again is on a case-by-case basis. I believe certain applications like TMNG and P2E have already tested their fonts and like the font that they're using. So those might not be the right places to integrate this pattern library in the fonts. I missed anything. Martha's asking if there'll be another layer of testing and approval required to make sure you're complying with the guide. And I think Carol's plan is to include this requirement in exactly where the JavaScript requirements also are. And so testing will need to, when applicable, we'll need to go through and make sure that they're compliant. UXD should have a role in most upcoming projects, and we'll be making sure that the teams have everything that they need to implement this theme when it's applicable and when the project entails that they can. Again, like Chuck is asking, when there's an enhancement project, will we include this? The projects that are already using Bootstrap, like assignment search and GPSN, would probably easily be able to implement this, whereas it won't be quite so easy for other projects. So we'll have to look at the project application timeline and decide which release they need to adhere to the style guide and which fiscal year. It won't all happen right away, for sure. And then, Raja, I'll ask your question. Unless you know the answer to it, Brian, do we need to have a build system? I believe the answer is different for each project.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you're using the less variables, that needs to be compiled to CSS. So in that case, you would need to have a build system of some type. But it's definitely up to each project and the architect and which tools they think are appropriate.
Well, thank you for your questions. I'm going to cut and paste all of these right now and include them in an FAQ. Because if you have the questions, I'm sure our other colleagues do too. Feel free to please send me, Arva Adams, any other questions that you have, ARVA Adams, ADAMS. And I'm sending a link to our feedback site, which I put in SurveyMonkey. I've just put it in the chat. If you'd like to bookmark that so that you can give us some thorough feedback after you've browsed the design pattern library a bit and maybe seen something that you'd like to see added in future versions, something that you think should be changed for this version before we present it up to John Owens, we'd like to hear that too. Really appreciate your time. Brian, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that the most important thing, I think, is everyone contributing their feedback and any efforts that they think could help any of the projects. I think that would be great.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you all very much.